Hello friends, konnichiwa. My name is Aisman Samasi and in this video I am going to show you how I win 2 IIT hackathons and 1 South Korea competition in Kaggle, okay? So this video will all be about how I did it myself and also to share the tips and tricks on how could you win the contest through yourself or any other Kaggle competition, okay? So this video is about general tips for machine learning and deep learning students. So these are my top 3 achievements in my machine learning and deep learning journey, okay? So first is 2025 Bamboo Summer Competition which was done on July 2025 and I secured 4th rank. Then is CTD Hackathon done by IIT Bombay on their constructor day which was done on September 2025 and I secured 10th rank here. And finally Genuity X Ethos Synthetic Hackathon which was done in November 2025 and I got the 6th rank here, okay? So if you'll go to my Kaggle profile, you would see the 3 competition as pinned work. So first one is the 2025 Bamboo competition, then I have my CTD Hackathon and then the IIT Guwahati, okay? So the first competition I want to talk about is the 2025 Bamboo Summer Competition which I got 4th rank on, which was done around July 2025, okay? So if you'll see the leaderboard, I scored the 4th position here with 0.95 score here, okay? Then I have my next competition which is CTD Hackathon and here I scored 13th ranked for this competition, okay? If you'll see here discussion, so basically after the results are verified, my final rank was done to be 10th ranked here, okay? So you would see here the 10th rank is my name here, okay? So now for our next competition, which is the Genuity X Hackathon which was proposed by IIT Guwahati. Here you will see that my score was 6th here, okay, with score of minus 0.07. so this was done in November 2025 here which I got 6th rank here. So in short, I had done 3 competition which was done last year and the rank was well satisfactory, okay? Now for our 5 big tips here, okay, and what I learned so far, okay? So now we are coming to the part where I will show you the tips on how could you do to get the highest rank in your competition or the project you are going to build, okay? My first tip should be to do the competition on Kaggle, not on Unstop here, okay? So this is from my experience and the reason why I choose Kaggle is because it have live leaderboard, so basically you could measure yourself, okay? So if you'll go to their leaderboard, you could clearly see the difference of the scores here and your rank, etc., okay? So this is a plus point of Kaggle and you basically understand and measure yourself, okay? And you could understand what you have gone wrong. You may not get certificate here but it is globally recognized. So like if I were given a choice, I would always use Kaggle here, okay? And for my experience, I would say Unstop is very bad for this learning thing, okay? So basically you are not getting a live leaderboard. In the last time when I done an Unstop competition, basically we are directly given a pass on fail without basically any feedback on what went wrong or what was the real leaderboard, etc., okay? So basically you don't give live leaderboard, so basically you don't know what you have done wrong. So for that reason I would say I will not choose Unstop for a learning purpose here, okay? And you do get certificate, even I accept that, but it is also not globally recognized, okay? So for certificate you are basically backstabbing your learning journey here, okay, in your Unstop. And also I would like to say is that don't underestimate the power of the Kaggle here, okay? So Kaggle is, you could say it is a live data science global rank here. Even the top 5 companies of the Silicon Valley, the Nvidia, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Apple, directly hire from Kaggle rankings, okay? So if you have even scored the top 100 in Kaggle in the competition one, you will get direct hiring from these 5 companies, okay? It's a global fact here and you could hear like many news that they get hired from the Kaggle platform directly, okay? So I would say that never ever underestimate the power of the Kaggle for now here. Okay, it is one of the top thing you may need for your globally recognized for your talent in your data science. Okay, even scoring top 2000 in the Kaggle competition is recognized globally, and you will get direct hiring for your jobs and even for big research projects here. Okay, so in short, I would like to tell that choose a platform which give feedback on what you done wrong. Okay, in Kaggle, due to live leaderboard etc., you are basically getting an feedback on what you are doing wrong and what is your error. Okay, so I would finally say that choosing Kaggle over the Indians unstop is very and win-win situation. Now the second point is that you should focus on generalization, not the leaderboard here. Okay, so in short, in Kaggle you have two competitions here. One have full public test here, and this second one we have public and private test here. Okay, so for your full public test, you could find only few competitions here, like your playground competition, where basically you see the full leaderboard here, which is used for your rankings here. Okay, so for your full public test competition here, I would say you could focus on leaderboard here only. Okay, and for your private versus public one, you could see here that here basically 10 to 90% of the data remains in the public dataset. Okay, so you would see here, and others remains in private dataset. So if you are using in this competition, I would say don't ever get obsessed in the leaderboard. Okay, you should focus on generalization here, because in this competition the rank is defined basically on how well your Kaggle generalize here. Okay, unlike your public dataset, where basically you see your whole actual leaderboard ranking directly. Okay, 3% of the competition do exist like this. Okay, it is sure, but like 97% of the competition always lie in the public and private test here. So if you are in this competition, don't ever get obsessed in leaderboard, always make sure for generalization. Okay, now why generalization? I would give two good points here. Okay, first is that as an ML or real engineer, your job is to make your prediction work in real life deployment, not to change the leaderboard here. Okay, so if you are seeing on the leaderboard, chances are your model will not work in real life deployment here. Okay, so as a data scientist, your job is to make it deployable. Okay, the machine learning model. Now for the second point is that the final leaderboard will be based on generalization to private data set. Okay, so generalization help you save from big surprises here. In short, our generalization help us save from surprises here. Okay, so always be safe from overfitting here. If you are not generalizing, chances are that you are basically overfitting, and is the great data scientist nightmare. Okay, so if you will be seeing my bamboo contest competition, you see here that my rank was jumped to plus 15 here. Okay, here this is my name. So if you'll go to the public data set, you see here that my name was around the rank 19th here. Okay, but after the private data set was released, you could see here my actual rank gone to 4th rank here. Okay, and you would see here the minus rankers at the bottom of the column here. Okay, so you see here he is minus 19 here, so in the 20th rank. So you could basically see the situation. Okay, so always focus on generalizing the model well, not on obsessing the leaderboard. Okay, again final leaderboard will be based on generalization to private dataset. Now for our next point here is that error analysis is more important than model complexity. Okay, so here many students actually may make it wrong, and the reason is simple, is that fancy models are exciting but error analysis is very boring. Okay, but here the boring always wins the competition here. So you must make sure that you basically understand the error on what your model is actually doing, not on how big or good is your model complexity. Okay, so basically you check your class which is misclassified here, or basically we sample have the highest loss, or basically an errors concentrated in one pattern, or basically understanding the error pattern. Okay, so basically you understand your model on why it is doing wrong prediction or the correct prediction. Okay, and by understanding that prediction here, you actually could calculate the error here and solve it. Okay, so for example, my CNN can't identify the blur images, or my model is correctly predicting for one class only. Okay, so why you need to find that here. Okay, so error analysis is always more weight than your model complexity. Okay, and your feature engineering is also more important than your error analysis or your whole architecture. Okay, especially in ML contest, feature engineering is 80% of the leaderboard score. The whole 80% of the leaderboard rank comes from feature engineering. Okay, so you are not here to get your designing diploma, so great architecture will not help here. Okay, always remember that in data scientist, machine learning is data first, model second here. Okay, so always feature engineer carefully. Okay, models are powerful, even I agree, but the features only win the competitions here. A model can only learn from the information you give it. Okay, if the information is wrong, there is no success. If important signal is not present in the feature, even a transformer won't magically invent it. Okay, this thing you must take care on what the data you are providing, and make sure that the data you provided is rich in feature that the model could learn here. Okay, even a transformer won't magically invent the feature you want. And final tips I would give you is that machine learning is not luck but an iterative improvement. Okay, so most of the students actually make a model here, change some hyperparameters, then they pray to God to increase their score. Okay, so like they think it's a magic here, but it is not. Okay, machine learning is all about using statistics to support features, log experiment, track metrics, change hyperparameters, remove or add features, data augmentation, and using new models here. Okay, so experiment is a part of your machine learning project or your portfolio, and it not work on the your luck. Okay, so it's not luck here, it's basically two things. One is your experiments, and second is your error analysis. So I would say machine learning is more boring and iterative task than your luck system. Okay, so do take care of that. Now we are in finally the common mistakes which you may be doing. Okay, so even I was a novice at some point here. Okay, and something I make sure is that first thing is that don't copy blindly from others notebook or the chat GPT. Okay, so you must understand that copying blindly will not help you learn. Okay, you must make sure to understand the notebook why they are using that method, or what is the code here. Okay, here the main thing is that you must not copy blindly, means that you could copy but don't copy it blindly. Okay, I mean even a child could copy from the chat GPT and could paste the whole pipeline of the machine learning, but he can't basically understand the wrong method or the hidden assumption that the notebook or the chat GPT have. Okay, so if you could find that it is even enough to get a higher score than the copying blindly one. Okay, so I would say is that do copy but do understand the notebooks here. Okay, and also do use ChatGPT to learn, and make sure to practice enough too. Okay, with your ChatGPT, you could even ask ChatGPT to test you with coding questions or your statistics question, okay, and even take direct help here. And now the second part is that don't submit blindly, okay. First is don't copy, second is don't submit blindly, okay. I have seen students who just make some random pipeline, then submit the whole CSV file, then see the actual score, then they change something in the model, and then they submit, okay, submit again, okay. So this will not work here, okay. So the correct submission path is that you must differentiate the whole data into training set and validation set, and use an cross validation strategy here, okay. And make sure to submit only the model prediction which is well scored during the validation time here, okay. So basically, in short, we will be using our cross validation to get the highest possible validation score, and that prediction model is the one we will be submitting here, okay. So we are not randomly guessing it. We are basically submitting the competition which have the lowest metric score or the highest generalization only, okay, not random submission. Third thing is that you must always have an validation strategy, okay. Using validation is a must for generalization, okay, and without good generalization there is no purpose to make model here, okay. So we could use our k-fold cross validation. For our normal models we could use stratified k-fold or the time series split here, okay. So if the validation score is not equals to leaderboard score, then basically I would say your split is wrong here, okay. This is basically what we talk in the last point here, is that we must always take 80% as our training and 20% as validation test, and then we use our k-fold cross validation to check whether our model is generalizing well for our 1 k-fold here, while other are trained, and so forth here, okay, for n times. So basically cross validation help us to better generalize the model and help us to stay away from overfitting here, okay. So make sure that fourth point is that you must use statistics here, okay. Basically it's a myth here that machine learning is only about making models, which is a very big myth, and even 90% of students haven't even used statistics in our machine learning, okay. You must understand that feature engineering is always more than your model here, okay. Even a small model with good feature engineering could get you a very high score than your big models here, because feature engineering is a very important part. Many students rely only on XGBoost, light GBM and random forest, okay, but basically forget about aggregation features, interaction features, target encoding time features, and most importantly feature engineering, okay. There's a reason you learn statistics in machine learning, okay. It is to use it here in your feature engineering path. You must make sure that you use statistics to understand the behavior of the data set here. And final thing is that make reusable submission and basically track your submissions here, okay. So TRACK track here, okay. This one is a must because results keep changing when running different times, okay. So we basically first make sure to turn off our random seeds here, okay. So we basically first set our random seeds so we could get our result same each time, okay. And also make sure that we are using any tracking features to basically track our logs here, okay, on whatever we are using here, okay. Serious competitor tracks experiment carefully, okay. And if you are a deep learning student, you could use Trackio or VanDB to log results, okay. Trackio and VanDB to log results on what the model you are using, what is the learning rate, etc., okay. So basically tracking help you track what are the model or learning rate you use, and how to increase the score of your leaderboard rank, okay. So make sure you are tracking your whole model pipeline here. Okay, so then my last and final tip is that winning competition is not about genius but about discipline experiments. Okay, so machine learning is not about luck but basically an harmony of three things here. One is our discipline, second is our experiment, and third is our error analysis. Okay, so these three things is the only thing you need to become a very great machine learning engineer or deep learning engineer. Okay, as far as my experience and the AI engineers I have made friends so far here. Okay, so finally this is the end of the video. This video is all about basically sharing you the general tips to machine learning and deep learning students. So that's all for today. Thank you and bye bye.